Hey guys, Ryan here, I hope you're well, despite the rubbish Power Rangers news that we've started 2021 with, which is that the Netflix deal, the one that has seen every season of Power Rangers available to stream instantly, has changed and the majority of it is gone. So all seasons from Power Rangers Zeo through Power Rangers Dino Super Charge did not fall into whatever this new agreement is and will be removed from the service. For a lot of fans, it's reignited the age-old argument of what's better, streaming or physical media. They definitely both have their pros and cons. I think it really sucks that the most convenient way of watching Power Rangers is going to be resigned as a past byproduct of the mid-2010s. And I've been thinking about this quite a lot this week, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on why this seemingly illogical decision might have happened. I think the ground rule, the simple fact is that if both sides were making money from this arrangement, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. It being the right thing for fans is unfortunately not a reason why businesses make the choices they do. Hasbro or Netflix or the pair of them have obviously made a business decision that's beneficial to them, not a business decision that's beneficial to us. And so here's 5 reasons for our Power Rangers Dumb Fury over Netflix. Number 1, confusion. So an often derided criticism of Netflix is actually how it's laid out. It's always moving, it's a bit like YouTube, but for some reason it's just less helpful. And if you were to search for Power Rangers, they really don't make it very obvious which order to watch them in. Now for many years of its run, this hasn't really been a problem. The anthology style of Power Rangers lends itself to kind of starting with whichever one interests you the most. It's only in the more recent seasons where there's been a separate super season where you kind of had to know to watch that second that started to create confusion. Seasons like the original Mighty Morphin and actually the more recent Beast Morphers, which didn't get a name change for its second season, they've actually bundled them up together and you watch them by season within that title. But everything else is housed separately. Even some festive specials and extended episodes like the Legendary Battle receive their own titles. And if rumours are true that Netflix might actually be getting more involved with Dino Fury, either from a worldwide airing standpoint or possibly from the second season, where at time of filming we still don't know what that's going to air on, while you might think it still makes sense for Netflix to house the entire back catalogue, actually removing most of the show is a way to make Dino Fury more prominent. Let's think of an example like this. So most older fans know what season they're going in for, they can search by the subtitle quite happily. That's probably a reason why each season has its own title box square to click into. If you were to search for Time Force and it not actually find it because it was actually listed as season 9 of Power Rangers, you might be annoyed. But what about kids out there whose parents don't understand Rangers? The algorithm might push Dino Thunder or Dino Charge at them. The parents might think they're showing the relevant season. You know, the Power Rangers season on TV that's about dinosaurs, it's got to be that, right? But then just a few episodes in, the kid starts proclaiming that they want a Thundersaurus Megazord or they want a Dino Charge Megazord. What's the parent going to do? If they go online or into a store, they're not even going to see a Dino Fury Megazord until the fall of 2021, and even then, it's not going to be the one that the kid's after. Or conversely, maybe the parent is switched on, understands that they're watching an old season that they'll probably have to hop onto eBay, and for roughly the same price as the current generation toys, they'll get a higher quality second-hand mid-noughties or early 2000s toy from Bandai. And the kid's happy, the parent's happy, everyone goes home happy, except for Hasbro. They've not actually made any money on that sale. So the strength of the back catalogue, in that Power Rangers really throughout nearly 30 years has pretty much always looked exactly the same in terms of production quality, could also be a weakness in driving attention to the current toy line. Basically, it does Hasbro no good if people are getting too invested in the old Bandai and Saban seasons when they're producing toys for something else. Reason number 2, residuals. So this one is really out of my depth, but yeah, the idea that some seasons are financially different to others in that actors for some union seasons actually get residuals. Hasbro then have to deal with that and divvy up everyone's royalties. Some of the later Saban seasons, I believe like Time Force, the cast do get residuals due to the union status of it. Please let me know if I'm wrong with that, but it was a much criticised thing of the show's early days that the cast had no rights to money from the show airing in reruns or any other way. Basically, they had signed their life away. Whereas later seasons of the show, once its popularity had been established, the actors got a bit of a better deal. However, as far as I know, since it moved to New Zealand, they've closed that loophole again, and I'm pretty sure the cast don't get anything residual-wise anymore. But yeah, maybe Hasbro just want to close all that off and not have to deal with it anymore. Number 3, Ruthlessness. So Netflix have been going for quite a while now, and it's a well-known thing that they spend more money than they make. So now we're in this era where they're trying to get a handle on the money. For years they were the butt of the joke. Even South Park made a reference to it, that if you wanted to get a show approved and made, just call Netflix. But much like how they had to pay Warner Brothers $100 million just to secure another 12 months of streaming rights to Friends, there's no doubt that Netflix must license Power Rangers from Hasbro and pay them for it. Now maybe there's two sides to this. Maybe Hasbro upped the cost. Maybe they decided there was more value in Power Rangers than what maybe the deal had originally been worked out with Saban. Maybe like how we saw with Disney, where they started gradually removing their content from other people's streaming services, they want to create their own. But please God, no. Nobody wants another streaming service at this point. We have reached capacity as far as streaming services go. But the flip side, of course, is that maybe Netflix, in an effort to try and get some control on their finances, actually offered Hasbro less to re-sign the deal. I'm sure it doesn't take a genius to predict that the most popular Power Ranger seasons on Netflix are going to be the original Mighty Morphin, the one that everyone recognises, and the more recent ones from TV, which people are probably catching up on. Then you've got this great chasm in between, where you've got everything from Zeo through to the kind of slightly older TV seasons. They've decided, obviously, Dino Charge is the end of the line. Interesting, I think, that both of Tommy's reappearances as the Green Ranger from recent team-up specials are still going to be on there, despite the fact that one of them is from a season that will be disappearing. But maybe Netflix don't want to clutter up their servers with more footage that people aren't actually watching, and this could be the reason why most of those middle seasons didn't get saved. You see this very ruthless angle with Netflix in that they'll often cancel a show after its first season, its second season, or its third season. Very rarely now do shows continue past this mark. It's like they've discovered from their user data that that's probably the dropping off point where people start to tire of it and move on to something else. Maybe it peaks with that third season and it's kind of downhill from there. By applying similar user data to what they must have on Power Rangers, I'm sure it's a no-brainer that people just watch the very beginning and the very latest. I do believe there are people out there that are catching up on the back catalogue, but maybe the numbers have fallen from where they used to be. Number 4, disc. Don't you guys agree that new money for old rope is a great phrase? Don't get me started on all the reasons why I want physical media to long continue, but I'm sure you can agree that licenses expiring is one of the main reasons for it. I have no idea what the current Shout Factory Power Rangers DVD distribution rights agreement is, so I've seen other YouTubers speculate that this is actually Hasbro showing their disdain for the older fan base, basically telling us to clear off, get over it. And sure, there might be an element of that here. But if you think about it, that doesn't really jive with what they're doing to us on the toy fronts. I mean, they're trying to exploit us in the Lightning Collection with like 40 characters a year, some of which we can only vaguely remember. At least they're doing it from decent seasons so far. But a lot of those decent seasons are the ones caught in the Netflix crossfire. Then, through a third-party agreement, they're bringing us some die-cast collector-grade Megazords in the Thunder and Zeo, so they clearly want to engage older fans who have nostalgia for the show. So what if all this is just a way to ensure that every older fan out there has bought those DVDs? Now, assuming that Shout Factory have to pay Hasbro a proportion of the profits from the physical disc releases, maybe they've done some sums and there's more money in that than there is in whatever Netflix was willing to give them. And conversely to that, maybe Shout are shouting up that the sales of their DVDs are flat because everyone's watching it on Netflix. Maybe they've petitioned Hasbro to try and make that unavailable in order to boost their DVDs so they don't have to stop production on them. It's inevitable that Shout will eventually have to stop producing the Power Rangers discs, and maybe this is like the last turn of the screw in order to get as much as they can out of the deal. And meanwhile, they've got the license, why not make hay? I think it's a shame how patchy the releases are post RPM. Everything from Samurai onwards should be in HD widescreen, so I believe should be out on Blu-ray. Unfortunately, the only country to have managed some of this was Germany, who did a box set of Samurai, Super Samurai, Megaforce and Super Megaforce, but I'm guessing fairly tepid sales of that discouraged them from doing Dino Charge onwards. Obviously all the original seasons under the Shout agreement, the way it was produced back then, the quality suits DVD perfectly because they're not HD, but I do wish there was a way of getting the more recent seasons in the quality that they were actually produced in. Whereas DVD releases for Samurai onwards is actually an inferior version of what you would have got on Netflix. Big shame. I do hope that Hasbro are at least reviewing the terms of the physical media side. It's very unlikely that those 17 original seasons will ever come to Blu-ray, unless it's like a standard definition on Blu-ray style thing where they just pack more episodes onto each disc. Or perhaps somewhere down the line someone's able to write some AI that can remaster SD into HD, though obviously that would be expensive to get right. And reason number 5, redirection. So Hasbro's new all-connected era will soon be upon us after Dino Fury, and unmistakably Mighty Morphin is going to be a big part of that. So in a sense, why pretend that any other past seasons matter? If Mighty Morphin is the big name, the one that everyone understands and recognises, cleaning house is inevitable. It's yet another way of showing younger fans what to develop their laser-like focus on in a sea of old episodes. Older fans will know that there are older seasons out there, but they'll have to shell out some money for a physical copy if they've not already. Yeah, it already feels like there's going to be this great reset of Power Rangers once the new era starts properly after Dino Fury, and if none of these seasons are as instantly iconically recognisable as Mighty Morphin, it does kind of make sense why Hasbro would want to sweep the deck and leave just the A-star player as the one that's visible. Please don't misunderstand that I'm saying that Mighty Morphin is the best season of the show ever. I certainly don't believe that, but in terms of instant brand impact and recognition appeal, it's unfortunately the one. Listen, nothing's ever going to beat the convenience of Netflix. That's why they're just crashing physical media off the scene at an alarming rate. However, as the years go by and we see more of this business fallout, where agreements lapse and we, the consumer, are reminded that just because something looks like it's on our TV to watch whenever we want, doesn't mean it's not going to vanish one day. Like most of the people that have got these DVDs, I don't think I've ever had to properly use them because Netflix has been just so much easier, but it looks like now, and some of them I've had nearly 8 years, are finally going to get some use. Oh, the other good thing about these box set releases are the bonus discs where they have special features, interviews with cast members. We never got that on Netflix. So guys, what's your take on the loss of Power Rangers from Netflix? Are you furious about not having been able to complete a season you were watching? Do you think this makes sense? Is there anywhere else you'd like the show to appear next? And please don't say a new streaming service. Speaking of the back catalogue seasons, I have filmed my review for the Lightspeed Megazord, and that will be coming very, very soon. So subscribers should look out for that. And of course you can follow my Instagram at PowerRangergram, where I don't currently have any plans to delete everything from Zeo to Dino Charge, but who knows. That's it for this time. Thanks for watching guys, see you later.